The Gift, Part 1. The massive alien vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere with all the grace of a wounded bird. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the observation deck of the Global Space Defense Facility. Her dark eyes narrowed as she analyzed every detail of the ship's approach. Behind her, Commander David Torres paced with controlled anxiety, his weathered face masking years of military experience. "They're late," Torres muttered, checking his watch for the 5th time. "The Orcs are never late." "Maybe that's the point," Sarah replied, not taking her eyes off the approaching ship. The vessel's hull was scarred and pitted, with visible patches where armor plates had been stripped away. "They want us to wait, to remind us of our place." The Orcs had arrived 6 months ago, introducing themselves as representatives of the Galactic Concordat. They came with promises of bringing humanity into a new age of interstellar cooperation. Now they were delivering what they called a diplomatic gift, humanity's first faster-than-light capable vessel. As the ship drew closer, Sarah's tablet came alive with readings. The energy signatures were chaotic, nothing like the elegant patterns they'd observed from other Orcs vessels. This ship was different. The landing pad's reinforced concrete groaned under the weight as the vessel settled. Its shadow stretched across the facility like a memorial to better days. Up close, it looked even worse, a patchwork of repairs and exposed systems that seemed to mock the very idea of spaceflight. High Coordinator Vextel emerged from his diplomatic shuttle, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the morning sun. His translator hummed to life as he approached the waiting human delegation. "Dr. Chen, Commander Torres, we present you with the Starweaver." His secondary arms twitched in what Sarah had learned was their equivalent of amusement, a vessel of historical significance. Sarah forced herself to smile, years of diplomatic training keeping her voice steady. "We're honored by such a generous gift, High Coordinator." The tour that followed was an exercise in restraint. Every compartment they visited had been stripped of anything valuable. Weapon mounts sat empty, computer cores had been removed, and even the life support systems seemed to run on minimal power. The Orcs delegation made a show of providing technical documentation, most of it so heavily redacted it was nearly useless. But Sarah noticed something else. Beneath the surface damage and missing systems, the ship's basic structure was incredibly robust. The power conduits, while dormant, showed signs of advanced engineering. Even the hull material, despite its scared appearance, contained properties she'd never seen before. As they reached the engine room, Sarah's tablet picked up an anomalous reading, a power signature that shouldn't exist in a supposedly gutted ship. She carefully kept her expression neutral, but her mind was racing with possibilities. The Orcs departed with final words of condescension barely disguised as diplomacy. As their shuttle rose into the sky, Torres turned to Sarah. "Well, Doctor, how bad is it?" Sarah was already deep in her calculations, her fingers flying across her tablet. "Oh, it's bad, Commander. But not in the way they think." She showed him the readings. "They didn't give us a working ship. They gave us something much more valuable. A puzzle." "A puzzle?" Torres raised an eyebrow. "They stripped out the fancy parts, yes. But they left the foundations, the bones." Sarah's eyes lit up with the kind of enthusiasm that had made her the youngest head of xenotechnology at the GSD. "They thought they were giving us trash to study. Instead, they gave us a blueprint. And more importantly," she gestured to the anomalous power readings, "they left something behind, something they either couldn't remove or didn't think we'd notice." Torres studied the readings, his military training picking up the implications. "You think we can work with this?" "Work with it?" Sarah laughed. "Commander, we're going to rebuild it. But not the way they expect. They think we'll try to copy their technology, to catch up to their level." She shook her head. "We're going to do what humans do best. We're going to innovate." As the sun set behind the Starweaver's broken hull, Sarah began assembling her team. She needed the best minds humanity had to offer. Engineers who could think beyond conventional limits, physicists who weren't afraid to challenge established theories, and technicians who could make the impossible work. The Orcs had made a crucial mistake. They had given humanity exactly what it needed. Not a working ship, but a challenge. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was turning challenges into opportunities. Torres watched as Sarah's team began their initial scans of the ship. "How long?" he asked. "To make it work their way." "Years." Sarah's smile held a hint of defiance. "To make it work our way, give me 6 months." The Starweaver sat silently in the fading light, its scared hull a testament to what was, and what would be. The Orcs thought they were giving Earth a monument to its technological inferiority. Instead, they had given humanity a canvas for its greatest achievement. The real work was about to begin. 3 weeks into Project Phoenix, as they dubbed it, Sarah Chen found herself staring at something impossible. A holographic display in her makeshift lab showed energy patterns that defied conventional physics, at least conventional human physics. "Run it again," she ordered the computer system. The simulation played out once more, showing energy flowing through the Starweaver's supposedly dormant power grid in ways that shouldn't be possible. It wasn't just moving. It was transforming, becoming something else entirely. The door chimed, and Commander Torres entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You missed the morning briefing," he said, handing her one of the cups. "Found something." Sarah took the coffee gratefully. "Remember those anomalous readings from the first day? They weren't anomalous at all. They were breadcrumbs." She gestured to the holographic display. The Orcs didn't just leave behind an old power system. They left behind something revolutionary. They just buried it so deep they thought we'd never find it. She pulled up another display, showing the ship's structural scans. "See these conduits? They're not just power channels. They're quantum resonance pathways. The whole ship is built around them, like a nervous system. But here's the beautiful part. They're adaptive. The system learns and evolves based on how it's used." Torres frowned. "Why would they give us something like that?" "Because they didn't think we'd recognize it," Sarah replied, her excitement building. "Look at their technical documentation. They describe it as a basic power distribution network. But that's like calling the human brain a simple electrical circuit. They're technically correct, but they're missing the bigger picture." She pulled up another simulation. "We've been running continuous scans for 3 weeks, watching how the system responds to different energy inputs. It's not just distributing power, it's optimizing it, improving it. And every time it does, it creates new pathways, new possibilities." "And they didn't notice this?" Torres asked, skepticism clear in his voice. Sarah shook her head. "They probably did, once. But look at their technology. It's all about control, about maintaining strict parameters. They saw this adaptability as a flaw, something to be contained. They built layers of limiters and safeguards into their systems to prevent exactly this kind of evolution." She gestured to the scared hull visible through the lab's window. "When they stripped this ship, they took away all their fancy control systems, thinking they were leaving us with nothing but a basic framework. But in doing so, they actually freed the system from its constraints." Torres watched the energy patterns dance across the display. "Can we use it?" Sarah's smile was answer enough. "We already are. Remember Dr. Patel's quantum harmonics research? The project that everyone said was theoretically interesting, but practically impossible. Turns out it wasn't impossible. We just didn't have the right medium to test it in." She pulled up another display, showing a series of successful experiments. "We've been feeding the ship's power grid modified quantum harmonic signals. Instead of rejecting them or burning out like any normal system would, it's absorbing them, learning from them, creating new configurations we never imagined possible. The implications," Torres began, "are astronomical." Sarah finished. "The Orcs built their technology around control and limitation. We're building ours around adaptation and growth. They gave us a ship stripped of its technology, thinking we'd try to recreate their systems. Instead, We're creating something entirely new. She brought up one final display, showing the project timeline. We've assembled teams working on every aspect of the ship: propulsion, weapons, defense systems. But instead of trying to copy alien technology, we're using human innovations, theories that were always considered too experimental or unconventional. The ship's adaptive framework is accepting them, integrating them in ways we never could have achieved on our own. Torres studied the data, his military mind already seeing the tactical implications. How long until we have something concrete to show? The first major integration test is scheduled for next week, Sarah replied. We're starting with the propulsion system. Dr. Patel's quantum harmonics combined with the ship's adaptive power grid. Well, let's just say the Orcs' FTL technology might suddenly look a bit outdated. As if in response to her words, the energy patterns on the display shifted, creating new configurations that set off another round of alerts. Sarah quickly began documenting the changes, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. There's something else, she said, her voice quieter now. The more we work with the ship, the more it feels like it's working with us. The adaptive systems aren't just accepting our modifications, they're anticipating them, preparing for them before we even implement them. Torres raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that the Orcs didn't just give us a ship, Sarah said. They gave us a partner. One that's been waiting for someone to think beyond the limitations its original builders imposed on it. Outside the lab, teams of engineers and scientists continued their work, each focused on their specific aspects of the project. None of them knew the full scope of what was happening, but all of them felt it. The sense that they were part of something unprecedented, something that would redefine humanity's place in the galaxy. The Starweaver's scarred hull had become a symbol of possibility, its apparent damage hiding the revolution brewing within. The Orcs had given humanity a gift, thinking it would remind them of their limitations. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed to break free of those limitations entirely. The testing chamber was silent except for the low hum of equipment and the rapid tapping of Sarah's fingers on her tablet. Through the reinforced observation window, the experimental propulsion module gleamed under harsh lighting, quantum resonance crystals pulsing with an otherworldly blue glow. All monitoring systems are online, Dr. Raj Patel announced from his station. His quantum harmonics equations covered the smart walls around them, a maze of mathematics that had taken weeks to perfect. Power grid is responding exactly as predicted. Sarah nodded, double-checking the safety protocols. They had transformed one of the Starweaver's cargo bays into a testing facility, its walls now lined with sensors and containment fields. What they were attempting had never been done before, a direct merger of human quantum harmonics theory with the alien ship's adaptive power system. Begin power-up sequence, she ordered. The crystals pulsing intensified, and the holographic displays erupted with data. Energy readings climbed steadily, following the predicted curve until... Wait, Sarah leaned forward, frowning at her display. These patterns, they're not matching the simulation. The power grid was doing something new, creating configurations they hadn't seen in any of their tests. The quantum harmonics weren't just being channeled through the system. They were being transformed, enhanced in ways their equations hadn't predicted. Should we abort? Torres asked from the doorway. He had become a constant presence during their tests, both as a military observer and, though he'd never admit it, out of genuine fascination. Sarah studied the readings intently. No, this is different. The system isn't fighting the harmonics like we expected. It's dancing with them. The blue glow from the crystals had taken on a mesmerizing quality, pulsing in perfect synchronization with the energy flows. Data streams showed efficiency ratings far beyond their theoretical maximums, and the quantum field measurements were off the charts. Look at this, Raj called out, his voice filled with wonder. The power grid isn't just accepting the harmonics, it's improving them. It's finding resonance patterns we never even considered. Sarah quickly began adjusting their monitoring algorithms to better track the unexpected developments. The ship's adaptive systems were proving more sophisticated than any of them had imagined, not just accepting their modifications, but actively participating in their evolution. "Run a full spectrum analysis," she ordered. "I want to understand exactly what's happening here." The results painted a picture that would have been impossible just months ago. The quantum harmonics were creating new pathways through the ship's power grid, but instead of causing instability as their simulations had predicted, the system was incorporating them, using them to enhance its own capabilities. "It's like—" Raj paused, searching for the right words. "It's like we've been trying to teach it to speak our language, but it already knew how. It was just waiting for us to start the conversation." Torres moved closer to the observation window, watching the interplay of energies with trained eyes. "What does this mean for the project?" Sarah's fingers flew across her interface, making rapid calculations. "It means we've been thinking too small. We've been trying to adapt our technology to work within alien parameters, but that's not what this ship wants. It wants us to break those parameters entirely." She pulled up the project timeline, making rapid adjustments. "We need to revise everything. Propulsion, weapons, shields. We've been limiting ourselves, trying to work within what we thought were hard physical constraints. But this ship doesn't believe in constraints." The test continued for hours, each new data point revealing more possibilities. The quantum resonance patterns they observed defied conventional physics, creating effects that should have been impossible. But impossible had stopped being a meaningful word on this project weeks ago. "Look at these efficiency ratings," Raj said, shaking his head in amazement. "We're seeing energy conversion rates that make our best fusion reactors look like steam engines. And the quantum field coherence, it's maintaining stability at levels we thought were theoretically impossible." Sarah was already thinking ahead, seeing the implications. This isn't just a propulsion breakthrough. These same principles could be applied to every system on the ship. We're not just building a better engine. We're rewriting the rules of what's possible. As the test wound down, the quantum crystals settling back to their baseline glow, the team began analyzing the mountains of data they collected. Each discovery seemed to lead to 3 new questions, each answer opening doors they hadn't known existed. Torres watched the proceedings with growing satisfaction. "How long until we can scale this up to full implementation?" Sarah considered the question carefully. 2 weeks for initial integration with the main power grid. Maybe another month for full optimization across all systems. "But Torres," she paused, making sure she had his full attention. "What we're building here, it's not just an improved version of their technology. It's something entirely new." "Explain," he prompted. "The Orcs built their ships to be controlled, to operate within strictly defined parameters. We're building something that evolves, that grows stronger with every challenge it faces." She gestured to the test chamber. "Every time we push the boundaries, the ship doesn't just adapt. It helps us push them further." The implications hung in the air between them. The Orcs had given them a broken ship, thinking to teach humanity its place in the galactic hierarchy. Instead, they had given humanity the tools to break free of that hierarchy entirely. As the team began shutting down the test equipment, Sarah caught glimpses of excited conversations and hurried exchanges of data. The energy in the room was palpable. They all knew they were part of something revolutionary. The Starweaver was no longer just a ship they were repairing. It had become a partnership between human innovation and alien technology, each pushing the other to new heights. And this was just the beginning. The first sign that something unprecedented was happening came during the final integration phase. Sarah stood on the Starweaver's bridge, now transformed from its previously gutted state into something that merged human intuition with alien efficiency. Holographic displays shimmered with data streams, while quantum resonance crystals pulsed in harmony with the ship's power grid. "Beginning full systems integration," Raj announced from his station. "Quantum harmonics are stable across all nodes." The ship's adaptive framework had exceeded all expectations during individual system tests. Now came the moment of truth. bringing everything online simultaneously. Sarah watched as power levels began to rise, each system coming alive in carefully planned sequence. Then something unexpected happened. Energy patterns are shifting. One of the technicians called out. They're not following the predetermined pathways. Sarah leaned forward, studying the readings. The ship's power grid was reconfiguring itself, creating new connections between systems that they hadn't designed. But instead of causing chaos, the changes were elegant, efficient, better than their original plans. "Don't interrupt it," she ordered, raising her hand to stop Raj from initiating the containment protocols. "Look at these patterns. The ship isn't malfunctioning. It's optimizing." Torres stepped closer to her station, his expression a mixture of concern and fascination. "You're saying the ship is thinking?" "Not exactly." Sarah pulled up multiple displays, tracking the cascade of changes rippling through the Starweaver systems. "Remember how I said the adaptive framework learns? Well, it's been learning from every test, every modification we've made. Now it's showing us what it's learned." The integration continued, but no longer under their direct control. The ship's systems were coming online in an intricate dance of energy and information, each component somehow knowing exactly when and how to activate for maximum efficiency. "These configurations," Raj said, shaking his head in amazement. "They're beyond anything we theorized. The quantum field coherence alone." Sarah nodded. "We've been thinking in terms of separate systems, propulsion, weapons, shields. But the ship, it sees everything as one integrated whole. It's not just combining our innovations, it's weaving them together into something entirely new." The bridge hummed with energy as more systems came online. The quantum resonance crystals they'd installed throughout the ship were now pulsing in perfect synchronization, creating patterns that seemed to ripple through the very fabric of space around them. "Power levels are stabilizing," Raj reported. "All systems are showing green." But he paused, double-checking his readings. "These efficiency ratings can't be right. We're seeing at least triple what we projected across all systems." Sarah was already diving deep into the data, trying to understand exactly what was happening. The ship's adaptive framework hadn't just accepted their modifications. It had taken their theories and innovations and evolved them into something far beyond their original designs. "Commander," she called to Torres, "I think it's time we showed you what this ship can really do." The demonstration that followed left even the most skeptical observers speechless. The quantum harmonics-based propulsion system didn't just move the ship, it seemed to bend space itself, achieving velocities that made conventional FTL drives look primitive. The defensive systems they'd developed, combining human plasma physics with alien energy manipulation, created shields that adapted to any threat in real time. But it was the weapons systems that truly showcased what they'd achieved. The quantum resonance technology they'd developed didn't just damage enemy shields. It bypassed them entirely, disrupting the very atomic bonds of their targets. The Orcs' shields are designed to stop kinetic impacts and energy weapons, Sarah explained as they watched another successful weapons test. But our quantum disruption beams operate on a completely different principle. By the time their defensive systems detect a threat, it's already too late. Torres watched the test results with growing satisfaction. "And you're certain they can't replicate this technology?" Sarah shook her head. "Even if they could study it, they wouldn't understand it. Their entire technological philosophy is based on control and limitation. What we've created here," she gestured to the ship around them, "this is about adaptation, evolution, growth. It goes against everything they believe about how technology should work." As if to emphasize her point, the ship's systems continued to optimize themselves, finding new ways to improve efficiency and performance. Each hour seemed to bring new discoveries as the adaptive framework explored the possibilities created by their innovations. "There's something else you should see," Sarah said, leading Torres to a secure terminal. "We've been monitoring quantum communication frequencies, watching for any sign that the Orcs might be suspicious of our progress. Instead, We found this. She pulled up a series of readings showing regular scans from the Orcs observation post in lunar orbit. They're still seeing exactly what they expect to see. A barely functional hull running on minimal power. Our quantum field manipulation doesn't just hide our energy signatures. It makes them see what they want to see. Torres studied the data carefully. So they have no idea what we've actually built. None, Sarah confirmed. As far as they're concerned, we're still struggling to understand basic alien technology. They see what their prejudices tell them they should see. A primitive species barely able to keep their gift operational. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. The Orcs' act of condescension, giving humanity a stripped-down vessel, had become the catalyst for a technological revolution they could never have anticipated. As they stood on the bridge, watching the Starweaver's systems continue to evolve and improve, Sarah couldn't help but smile. You know what the best part is? This is just the beginning. Every day we work with this ship, we learn something new. Every test reveals new possibilities. The Starweaver had become more than just a ship. It was a testament to human ingenuity and determination, a proof that sometimes the greatest achievements come not from following established rules, but from daring to break them entirely. The alert came without warning. Sarah was reviewing the latest system optimizations when the quantum detection grid lit up like a Christmas tree. Multiple Orcs vessels just emerged from FTL, Raj reported, his fingers flying across his console. 3 heavy cruisers, bearing directly for Earth. They're not responding to hails. Sarah exchanged a quick look with Torres, who had already moved to the command position. They had known this day would come. They just hadn't expected it so soon. Status of our stealth systems? Torres asked, his voice calm despite the tension filling the bridge. Holding steady, Sarah replied, checking the quantum field readings. They're still seeing what we want them to see, a barely functional hull in dry dock. The Orcs ships continued their approach, their formation suggesting military intent rather than diplomatic courtesy. The largest vessel, its hull gleaming with the characteristic crystalline patterns of their most advanced technology, took the lead. They're broadcasting, Raj announced. Channel opening. High Coordinator Vextel's image appeared on the main display, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting light in ways that once seemed impressive, but now looked oddly primitive compared to the quantum technologies humanity had developed. Earth Command. Vextel's translator conveyed his words with the same condescending tone they remembered. Our routine surveillance has detected unauthorized modifications to the diplomatic gift we so generously provided. This constitutes a violation of our technology sharing protocols. You will power down all systems and prepare for immediate inspection. Torres straightened in his command chair, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. High Coordinator, with all due respect, I don't think we'll be doing that. This is not a request, Commander. The stalwart was provided as a museum piece, a symbol of your potential future participation in galactic society. Any attempts to activate or modify its systems are strictly forbidden. Sarah stepped forward, unable to contain herself any longer. You mean any attempts to discover what you really gave us? The adaptive framework you tried to hide? The quantum resonance technology you thought we'd never understand? For the first time, she saw genuine surprise flash across Vextel's alien features. Impossible. Your species lacks the fundamental understanding required to break free of the limitations you impose on technology. Sarah interrupted. To see possibilities where you see only constraints. I'm afraid you severely underestimated humanity, High Coordinator. You will stand down immediately, or we will be forced to take corrective action. Vextel's tone had shifted from condescension to barely concealed anger. Torres nodded to Sarah. I think it's time we showed them what humanity can really do. Sarah's fingers danced across her console, initiating the sequences they had prepared for this moment. The Starweaver's quantum field shifted, dropping the carefully maintained illusion of damage and decay. The ship's true form emerged, sleek, powerful, and utterly transformed from the broken hull the Arxer had gifted them. By the Founders, one of the alien officers in the background could be heard muttering, "What have they done?" The Starweaver rose from its berth with a grace that belied its size, quantum resonance crystals pulsing with power that their sensors couldn't begin to comprehend. Every system that humans had reimagined, every innovation they had woven into the adaptive framework, came alive in perfect harmony. "This is impossible," Vextel stated, but there was fear mixing with the disbelief now. "Our greatest engineers spent decades trying to control that adaptive technology. We deemed it too dangerous, too unpredictable." "That was your mistake," Sarah replied. "You tried to control it. We worked with it, learned from it, helped it grow. You see technology as something to be contained and regulated. We see it as a partner in exploration and discovery." The Arxer vessels began powering up their weapons, shields shimming into place around their hulls. "You leave us no choice," Vextel declared. "We cannot allow such dangerous technology to." His words cut off as the Starweaver's quantum fields expanded, encompassing all three Arxer vessels. Their shields, designed to stop conventional energy and kinetic weapons, might as well have been tissue paper against the quantum disruption field. "We're not interested in fighting," Torres stated calmly. "But we will not be patronized, controlled, or threatened. Not anymore." The Arxer ships hung motionless, their primary systems temporarily suspended by fields they couldn't detect, let alone resist. On their bridges, crews stared in disbelief at readings that showed energy patterns that defied their understanding of physics. "What you're seeing," Sarah explained, allowing a touch of pride to enter her voice, "is what happens when you give humanity a challenge instead of a constraint. You gave us a broken ship, thinking to teach us humility. Instead, you taught us possibility." She brought up displays showing the full extent of what they had achieved. Quantum propulsion that made conventional FTL look primitive, adaptive shields that evolved in response to any threat, weapons that operated on principles the Arxer had never imagined. "We're transmitting technical data now," she continued. "Not everything, of course, but enough to show you what humanity is truly capable of. We're ready to take our place in galactic society, not as subordinates to be patronized, but as equals to be respected." The silence that followed was profound. Finally, Vextel spoke, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his voice. Perhaps we have indeed underestimated your species." "A common mistake," Torres replied. "One I suggest you don't repeat." As the quantum fields retracted, allowing the Arxer vessels to regain control of their systems, Sarah watched the readings that showed the Starweaver continuing to evolve and improve. The ship had become more than just a testament to human ingenuity. It was a beacon of possibility, a symbol of what could be achieved when innovation was embraced rather than feared. The Arxer fleet retreated, their departure marked by none of the arrogance that had characterized their arrival. As they disappeared into FTL, Sarah turned to Torres with a smile. "Well, Commander, should we show them what else this ship can do?" Torres returned her smile, settling into his command chair. "Set a course, Dr. Chen. Let's show the galaxy what happens when you give humanity a chance to break the rules." The Starweaver rose through Earth's atmosphere, its quantum fields dancing with possibilities yet unexplored. The Arxer had given humanity a gift, thinking to define their limits. Instead, they had given humanity the key to its future, a future where the only true limit was imagination itself.